In July 2025, the world's attention shifted to Rio de Janeiro, not for its carnival, nor for the iconic beaches that have long drawn visitors from around the globe, but for an event of historic significance that would reverberate far beyond Brazil's borders. The city became the epicenter of a summit that promised to reshape global power dynamics, drawing leaders, diplomats, and thinkers from every corner of the world. The 17th BRICS Summit was more than a meeting. It was a declaration to the world. Emerging economies were ready to become architects of a new world order, determined to chart their own course and redefine the rules of engagement. The Rio Declaration radiated confidence and unity, signaling that the Global South would no longer accept a system designed by others, but would instead demand a seat at the table and a voice in shaping the future. Representing over half the world's population and 40% of global GDP, the BRICS bloc's collective voice was now impossible to ignore. Their economic and demographic weight gave them unprecedented leverage in international affairs. The summit's timing, amid escalating global tensions, economic uncertainty, and widespread disillusionment with post-1-2 institutions, gave its message extra weight. Many nations felt left behind by the old order, and the world was hungry for change. The Rio Declaration was more than a statement. It was a blueprint for a future where Africa, Asia, and Latin America would have equal authority in global affairs. It called for fairer trade, more inclusive decision-making, and a rebalancing of international institutions. For Indonesia, the summit was transformative. Its induction as a full member marked a strategic leap onto the world stage, opening new avenues for economic cooperation, diplomatic influence, and regional leadership. Across Indonesia, the news sparked a wave of optimism. Young people, business leaders, and policymakers alike saw new opportunities for growth, innovation, and global engagement. President Prabowo Subianto's presence at the summit symbolized Indonesia's transition from observer to active participant in shaping global politics. His speeches emphasized the nation's commitment to multilateralism and its vision for a more just and balanced world. The Rio Summit was not just a new chapter for BRICS, but the start of a transformative journey for Indonesia itself, a journey toward greater influence, deeper partnerships, and a more prominent role in the story of the Global South. At the heart of the Rio Declaration was a unified demand to reform global governance. BRICS argued that institutions like the UN, IMF, and World Bank no longer reflect today's realities, granting too much power to the West. The bloc called for expanding the UN Security Council, supporting Brazil and India as permanent members to rebalance global power. They also demanded a new IMF quota formula, shifting influence toward emerging markets. The goal transformed these bodies into truly global institutions serving all members, not just traditional powers. This is a political challenge to the post-war order. BRICS wants inclusivity, not destruction, remodeling the system from within. The message: adapt or risk irrelevance in a changed world. The Rio Declaration took direct aim at economic practices that threaten global stability, with a particular focus on protectionism and the use of unilateral sanctions. These measures, often imposed by powerful nations, can have far-reaching consequences, distorting markets and undermining the economic security of less developed countries. The declaration called for a more equitable approach to international trade, emphasizing the need for cooperation over confrontation. BRICS leaders strongly condemned these practices, labeling them as clear violations of international law. They argued that such actions disrupt vital supply chains, create artificial shortages, and unfairly penalize developing nations that rely on open access to global markets for their growth and survival. The group's unified stance sent a powerful message to the world. The bloc reaffirmed its unwavering commitment to open, fair, and rules-based trade under the World Trade Organization framework. BRICS leaders see protectionism not just as a barrier to commerce, but as a direct threat to global economic growth and shared prosperity. They called for reforms to ensure the WTO remains effective and inclusive. The declaration also condemned the selective application of international law, pointing to ongoing conflicts in Gaza, Iran, and Russia as examples where double standards have undermined trust in global institutions. BRICS called for consistent, impartial enforcement of international norms to prevent further instability. In a dramatic turn just after the summit, U.S. President Trump threatened sweeping tariffs on all BRICS members. This move, widely seen as an escalation, seemed to validate the bloc's concerns about economic coercion and the use of trade as a geopolitical weapon. Brazilian President Lula's pointed response, "The world has changed, we don't want an emperor," captured the summit's spirit of defiance and unity. His words resonated with leaders and citizens alike, symbolizing a collective desire for a more balanced world order. In the face of mounting pressure, BRICS resolved to resist economic intimidation and chart its own independent course. The group outlined strategies to strengthen internal cooperation and reduce vulnerability to external shocks. The economic battleground has now become central to the struggle for a new global order, where emerging powers seek a fairer, more inclusive system that reflects the realities of a changing world. The absence of China's Xi Jinping and Russia's Vladimir Putin at Rio created a new dynamic within BRICS. Both leaders participated virtually, but their absence allowed other members to step forward. Putin's absence, due to legal concerns, and Xi's, likely strategic, shifted the spotlight. Brazilian President Lula and India's Narendra Modi assumed central roles, reinforcing a more distributed leadership. This shift benefited new members, especially Indonesia, giving President Prabowo space to make his mark. Indonesia entered as a significant power, not overshadowed by giants. The summit's new choreography fostered collaboration and accelerated integration of new members. The future of BRICS will be shaped by a collective of influential nations, not just two powers. For Indonesia, the 17th BRICS Summit was historic, a move from observer to core member. President Prabowo's attendance signaled Indonesia's readiness to play a global role matching its size and potential. Joining BRICS is a modern reinterpretation of Indonesia's non-aligned foreign policy, leveraging multilateral coalitions for greater influence. Membership opens new avenues for trade, investment, and technology, reducing reliance on Western frameworks. For BRICS, Indonesia adds strategic depth, bringing ASEAN leadership and a respected Muslim voice. Indonesia's entry underscores the bloc's growing appeal as an alternative to the existing order. Jakarta is now poised to help shape a more balanced, multipolar international system. Indonesia's BRICS membership is a milestone, but real influence requires substance, not just symbolism. Jakarta must actively shape the group's agenda on trade, technology, climate, and security. As the world's largest archipelagic state and ASEAN leader, Indonesia can bridge BRICS and Southeast Asia. Its economic potential, youthful population, resources, positions it to champion sustainable development and digital transformation. By engaging in BRICS financial mechanisms, Indonesia can direct investment to impactful projects. Success demands a proactive diplomatic core and clear national priorities. The opportunity used BRICS to amplify Indonesia's voice for a more inclusive global order. The world is watching to see if Jakarta can turn promise into real influence. Indonesia's non-aligned policy is a unique asset within BRICS, enabling it to act as a bridge builder in a divided world. Jakarta's credibility allows it to facilitate dialogue where others cannot, especially in conflicts where major powers are entrenched. Within BRICS, Indonesia can champion peaceful conflict resolution and adherence to international law. Its presence adds weight to the bloc's alternative perspective on global issues, especially on Palestine. Indonesia's role is to uphold justice and international law, not to take sides. Peacemaking requires skill and balance, but the rewards are immense. By leveraging its neutrality, Indonesia can become BRICS's trusted mediator and a force for global stability. This elevates both Indonesia's stature and the bloc's diplomatic credentials. Indonesia joins BRICS as the bloc faces major internal and external challenges. De-dollarization is a political goal, but practical progress is slow. Local currency trade is the first step. BRICS's diversity is both strength and weakness, with members' political systems and interests often diverging. Tensions, like the India-China rivalry, require deft diplomacy to avoid paralyzing the group. Despite anti-Western rhetoric, BRICS economies remain deeply tied to the US and Europe. The challenge builds resilience without triggering damaging trade wars. Indonesia's role is to foster unity and pragmatism, helping BRICS move from declarations to action. Success depends on managing divisions and external pressures to realize the bloc's potential. The 17th BRICS Summit marks a pivotal turning point for Indonesia and the evolving global order. For the first time, Indonesia stands at the crossroads of history, where its decisions and actions can shape not only its own destiny, but also the future of international cooperation. Indonesia now has the platform to shape debates that will define the century. As a rising power, it is uniquely positioned to bring fresh perspectives to the table, championing the interests of developing nations and amplifying voices that have long been underrepresented in global forums. To be truly influential, Jakarta must set a clear, ambitious agenda and lead on pressing issues like sustainable development, climate action, and the governance of emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence. By doing so, Indonesia can inspire others and drive meaningful change. With India set to chair BRICS next, Indonesia should seize the moment to build strong coalitions, foster new partnerships, and prepare to shape the group's future priorities. Collaboration with like-minded nations will be key to advancing shared goals and ensuring a more inclusive global agenda. The world is shifting to a multipolar reality where power and influence are more widely distributed. BRICS is at the forefront of this transformation, offering a platform for emerging economies to assert their voices and challenge traditional power structures. Indonesia's choice to join is a vote for a more balanced, equitable global system, one that values diversity, cooperation, and mutual respect among nations. Its success will benefit not only its own people, driving progress and opportunity at home, but also the wider global South, inspiring hope and solidarity across developing regions. The journey has just begun. Indonesia now holds a historic opportunity to help write the next chapter of global history, forging a path of influence and responsibility for generations to come.